Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to the second part of Dailies. Today we are live from our audiovisual studios on Etimian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria. This is Nigeria Info. I am Sheriff Quadry. You can watch this show on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can be a part of it. It's time for us to take another look at some of the stories, this time to provide you with some context, some analysis to the stories. We started this show at 5 a.m. this morning. We had the first part of the papers, the dailies, today at 6:15. This is the second part, and I have joining me Dr. Majeed Dahiru, joining us from the Federal Capital for the analysis this morning. Dr. Majeed, thank you for joining us. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Right. Let's begin. We're going to start with this story here in the Guardian newspaper, page 3. This story is practically in all of the papers, perhaps the biggest story that we have in this country this morning, one of the biggest. PDP, LP, others flay Senate's move to stop Natasha's resumption. That story is on page 3. PDP, others flay Senate's move to stop Natasha's resumption. Page 3 of The Guardian. Dr. Majeed.
It's an interesting story, but not unexpected, altogether for somebody who has followed this controversy since the time it started in February. Anybody that is feeling, surprised now that the Senate has moved to this position, it's not really being honest. The truth is, this matter would have been resolved a long time ago through a political solution. It's a political problem that borders on the violation of Senate rules on one hand, which became entangled in some sort of some accusations of sexual harassment on the part of the senator against the Senate president. So one would have thought that between when all of this started and now, a political solution would have been involved by interested parties, coming together to resolve these problems between a member of the Senate and the leadership of the Senate. But that has not been done. So when the senator decided to appeal the last judgment by the Federal High Court in Abuja, which she didn't find favorable in its entirety, and the Senate also decided to cross-appeal some part of the judgment that it felt that the Honorable Justice Binta Mutananyako should not have made an announcement on. So truly, the matter has shifted to the arena of the judiciary. And once that is the case, the Senate can always hide behind that judicial imbroglio have to wait until the matter. One of the facts there, the fact that is declared is that the distinguished senator violated sitting arrangement in the Senate. But she also felt that she was unfairly picked on because of sexual harassment allegations against the Senate president and all that. For me, what she should have done from the beginning was apologize for violating sitting arrangement on one hand, and then pursue your claims of sexual harassment against the Senate president on the other hand. Look, this is a basic rule in the Senate. Sitting arrangement is a basic. I've interacted with a lot of senators who said, look, you can come to the Senate at any time and see your seat change. There's nothing circumstantial about any sitting arrangement. So long as you're not in the membership of the leadership. So all seats are the same essentially. So they reshuffle at all times. It's at the discretion of the Senate leadership. And a lot of them have said at least once or twice their own seats have been reshuffled. And on the day her seat was reassigned, she was not the only senator whose seat was reassigned. So she should have apologized for that one first. And then pursue your sexual harassment allegation to conclusion, either through the courts or through the ethics committee, as the case may be. But to kind of entangle both situations has created this prolonged judicial imbroglio now that is not in her favor on behalf of her constituency. Now, for the LP and the PDP members, party that are talking about Senate are not having rights to bar her from coming in, it's not interesting that we had PDP members in the Senate. We have PDP, Labour Party members in the Senate, and they did not utter a word of protestation when she was being suspended. As we speak, we've not seen the Senate caucus of the PDP or the Labour Party coming out to say we are breaking ranks with majority APC on this matter. So sometimes I don't know how the opposition parties in Nigeria actually work. They sit in their headquarters, make statements that their own members within the system are not even able to implement or carry out or align with. And that's a juice for another day anyway. So for me, what should be explored is a political solution. It's a political problem. These are friends, former friends that turn fools over issues that are not really in the public domain. So I had expected that there will be shifting of ground, and a healthy compromise between all warring parties so that the interest of both the senator and her constituents will be protected. But as it stands, since there are no shifting of ground, I do not think the Senate can be blamed for saying that the judicial imbroglio should be resolved or exhausted, probably to the Supreme Court, before she can be recalled.
Dr. Majeed, I'm going to extend this conversation beyond the two of them, because there's also a third party in all of this, which is the constituents. What does this say about representation for her constituent? Because you know how court processes go in this country. This may just be, she may never get back to the Senate before the end of her tenure, because whoever wins, they can drag this for as long as they want to. What does this mean for her constituents, her people?
That is why, as a senator, once you are elected and inaugurated on the floor of the Red Chamber, you are handed that red book, the rule book. You must study it, internalize it, and abide by the rules. To make its own rules. How frustrated you are at his attitude, you cannot violate a single rule in that rule book without apologizing accordingly when it is pointed out to you. The constitution talked about in question my constitution. The senator in question is my senator. And I'm saying, for somebody who has interest of my own conscience at heart and her own interest too as a politician, I had advised at the beginning to say, look, go and apologize for violating sitting arrangements. Apologize for that. You may have felt, because of course she's a new senator, the first timer, she may have felt that the seat allocation was targeted at her because of the issues she claims she's having with the Senate president. But when it was brought to your notice that, no, this is part of our standing rules. You can't speak from a seat not allocated to you. You apologize. Nobody's above mistake. After the same Senate president was caught in this same kind of act in the previous assembly. And when he was clarified, he apologized and took his newly assigned seat. If she had done that, the Senate would not have been able to go ahead to now suspend her based on seat violation. But she hasn't done that. And look, no responsible citizen should encourage any form of violation of rules, no matter how sentimental we feel about it. So if she knew her circumstances would suffer, she would have obeyed the Senate rules. And when she mistakenly flouted one of the rules, apology. There's nobody above apology. While you cannot pursue your sexual harassment allegation against the Senate president, but you must also bring out all the evidence available to support it.
That's right.
I'll give an example. In that Lagos where you're sitting now, there was a time that sexual allegation harassment rocked the University of Lagos. Before the victims went public, they were able to record the lecturers in question involved and made it public. These university authorities, the public, there was no dissenting opinion. There was no defense for the perpetrator because it was clear, it's black and white. So before you make allegations against anybody too, you must be sure you have your evidence. Concrete evidence that you can present both to the public and to the court. I've heard people say, if she has evidence, it's not to the public. I said, no. It is called proof of evidence. You must use it to substantiate your allegation. Right. Even in public, you must substantiate your allegations in public before taking it to court. So for me, she should apologize for violating sitting arrangement in the interest of her people. If she didn't have the interest of people at heart, she should have brought that right from the beginning. She look, as a politician, you must have the skills of diplomatic engagement to maneuver the system, to meander to the system in the interest of your people. This is not a military establishment. It's a political institution. Again, without prejudice to her allegations against the Senate president, burden of social harassment, she should not have flouted the Senate rule. And when she did, and to point that to her, she should have simply complied with the directive. It's as simple as that. You cannot, because of your personal problems with somebody, flout the rule of an entire arm of government and expect not to face sanctions for it.
Dr. Majeed, let's go to our next story this morning. It's in the Daily Trust newspaper. This story is on page 31 of the Daily Trust. DSS resolves NUPENG Dangote Group rift. Strike suspended. What's your reaction to this?
Matters. When it has to do with energy, has to do with national security, because energy is an integral part of national security. So for the DSS to be involved will mean that they are coming from the side, from the angle of national security, pointing out to the various actors why this might jeopardize Nigeria's security at the moment. Maybe showing them verifiable, tangible intelligence that suggests that, look, if you go ahead with this action, so and so might happen to the entire country, and nobody wants to be responsible for any problem that will escalate our already existing problem. So that is the angle from which the DSS is coming in to intervene. But many people might raise concerns as to why is it not the Ministry of Labour that is resolving the matter? Why the DSS? It's because energy borders on national security. So an important, organ or arm of government or agency of government that is in charge of national security or part of the national security structure definitely will take proactive steps such as this to present all sides with credible intelligence as to the consequences of these actions they may want to take or not take. So, and persuade them otherwise, while also having a feedback mechanism to the presidency and to all parties as to what to do to arrive at a safe compromise. So, I will say kudos to the DSS. I will say kudos to the director of the DSS. I mean, Tosin Ajayi has shown us how far DSS can go in matters like this. So, we commend them for that. So whenever they do something that is good, we commend them. Whenever they do something that is not so appropriate, we also come out here to call them out and say, look, we can do better. So on this, I think they've done well to prevent that what would have been a very destabilizing industrial action by a major union in the energy sector.
I want us to look at the matter itself, the issue between Dangote and NUPENG itself. Dangote is saying, look, you can't force my drivers to join your organization. They may even decide to go and join the DTCDA. That's another organization that is alleged to have been formed by himself and Dantata. But the NUPENG is saying, look, this is slavery. You can't force your workers to go and join another body that is not recognized. Because it is their job to protect the interests of workers in the oil sector. I mean, what is your thought on Dangote's position, saying that his drivers will not join NUPENG, and NUPENG insisting your drivers must join us?
For me, I think NUPENG is going on an overstretch of both its mandates, its powers, and its sphere of influence. You see, the problem is that we are in a market-driven economy now, particularly in the energy sector that has been deregulated completely. Free entry, free exit, free participation, freedom not to participate. And that includes unionization too. Under our current laws, you cannot force anybody to join any union, including tanker drivers. You can't force them to join NUPENG. NUPENG cannot be making a case for them to join them. Dangote, on the other hand, can also not prevent his workers from joining any union they so desire to join. Now the question is this: who is the complainant? Is it Dangote workers? Do you have a case where Dangote workers have come out to say we want to unionize and Dangote is preventing us from unionizing? Have they come out to say, look, as a group, maybe we are 1,000 strong workforce and want to join NUPENG? Joining NUPENG. Is that the situation? That Dangote workers, Dangote tanker drivers and other workers want to join NUPENG, and Dangote is preventing them from joining NUPENG? I've not seen that. Rather, it is NUPENG that is saying, look, we need to expand our sphere of influence to accommodate this large workforce that is not the Dangote oil and gas industry. And they do not have such powers. And again, like I said previously, they cannot weaponize their power of union, of being unions, to inflict pain on the country, just because of their own self-interest as a union. But it is highly responsible. So Dangote and its workers have a right to decide collectively between them how to unionize, how not to unionize. These are largely individual, collective, and personal matters to the employer and the employee. The only time the NUPENG I'm interested is if the workers are seeking to join NUPENG, and they say no, you can't join the join. So the question now is Dangote workers, are they the ones demanding to join NUPENG and Dangote is saying no? Or is it NUPENG that wants to go and poach workers from Dangote in order to strengthen their own sphere of influence? Because if you look at the magnanimity of Dangote's operations, I mean the magnitude of his operations, yes, any union that does not include Dangote at this point in time might not have the kind of effect you have in, for example, they go on strike because I mean Dangote can keep supplying the market without any interference, any interruptions.
Right.
But the question is this: you cannot force these things. You can't. It's a free market enterprise we're practicing now. I mean, I did not support it. I don't necessarily subscribe to it, but that is the reality. The PIA has freed up the entire space. And you cannot force anybody to join any union. Neither can you prevent anybody from joining any union. Again, the question is, are Dangote workers wanting to join the pen and Dangote preventing them from doing so? I've not seen any report anywhere that suggests that.
That's right. I haven't myself. I haven't. Let's move on to our next story in the Punch newspaper. Page 2. 2027 presidency. Jonathan splits South PDP. That's the story here on page 2 of the Punch. Dr. Majeed, it seems as though this rumored poaching of President Jonathan back into the PDP is not going anywhere soon, and it's looking like yes, it sounds like rumor, but if he's splitting a PDP caucus like this, I think we are past rumor at this point. But what's your thought first on that story unconfirmed that President Jonathan may be going back to the PDP as their standard bearer in 2027? What's your reaction to that? Let's begin from there.
Okay, first, as a Nigerian citizen, I'm one of those who believe that Nigeria, as a 26-year-old democracy, needs some resetting of sort. We need to press the reset button now, because to me, we are seeing the worst of African kind of democracy. Urgent reform, urgent resetting across board, across board completely. And to do that democratically will require a transformational and a reform-minded leadership at the very top that can lead that reform and kind of help us to reset. It's like trying to reposition our democracy onto a path to yield dividends, and to do that across the entire country. Now, you need a leader that is not going to be thinking of the next election to do this. You need a leader that will be thinking of the next election to do this. A statesman kind of leader. Now, if you put all of this together, then you will agree with me that Jonathan may just qualify because, one, Jonathan had been president before. He lost an election. He's like a man who died, went to heaven, and saw that there was paradise and there was hell, truly. And because of the little good deeds he did while he was on earth, he was put in the top-class compartment of paradise to receive some fresh air. And so he was not given an opportunity to come back to earth. He would want to do much more than he did before to qualify him for the first-class compartment of paradise. This is not like, a metaphoric analysis of the matter. So what I'm saying is that Jonathan has been out of power. He has seen that the little good deeds he did in power, including democratic reforms, has earned him global recognition as an African statesman. And Jonathan is still young, relatively speaking, meaning that if he comes to presidency, he's likely to want to improve on the records he set before, so that for the remainder of his public service life, after office, he will even have more accolades globally to even, to expand his own sphere of influence in terms of delivery of good governance. So that is a motivation. That could be an incentive for a Jonathan to come in and not descend into the fray, but to step up the fray and lead Nigeria in a very selfless manner. Because he has his word waiting for him somewhere. This is on one hand. But the truth is, will he be willing to come in through an opposition coalition, given his own nature as a reserved, conservative kind of politician? So for the PDP to making a bid for someone like Jonathan, it is quite enough. A lot of people feel that Jonathan would come in and kind of resuscitate Nigeria's ailing economy and all of that. He is quite popular across the North, I'm aware. A lot of PDP governors from the North are pushing this agenda seriously with all their strength and might, I know. But the question is, the man in question, will he be willing to throw his heart into the ring? I say this because for Jonathan to even consider this offer across the entire, it has to be a unanimous decision by the Nigerian people and his leadership. I don't see that now, but if that becomes the case, probably as we get closer to the election season, maybe it might be decided, because Jonathan will want to come to a race and lose an election again, and then lose his credibility, lose his status as an African statesman that has gone global. So he's comfortable now. Like I said, he's in a top-class cabinet compartment of paradise. Why will he now risk that to come back to earth and probably not commit more sin and not find himself a hellfire? So it's something I'm sure he too, as an experienced politician, is thinking deeply about. There's nobody who offer presidency of Nigeria that will not willingly take it. But these are some of the odds that I'm sure he's trying to consider, weigh the pros and the cons before actually agreeing to some of the demands of those who want to bring him to the race. Otherwise, he would have been a very good and formidable candidate for the PDP to challenge an incumbent president like Ahmed Bola Tinubu. But is the PDP itself stable enough to earn the confidence of a political heavyweight like Goodluck Jonathan? That could happen to it in the last election. So these are the issues that I'm sure the man is watching from a distance to see how stable is the platform on one hand, and what is the level of groundswell of opinion and consensus around his candidacy, so that he wouldn't have to struggle too hard to get there. So those who want to bring him, they have a lot of work to do between now and probably the next 1 year.
All right. Okay, let's take our last story. And this is about the conversation that Nigerians welcomed into the new week. We won't implement fuel tax now. It's about the 5% petroleum tax. Dr. Majeed, I'm sure you must have read this story. You must have followed this story. What's your thought on it?
You know the problem with Nigeria. You know the problem we're facing with our economy. You see, I've always likened Nigeria to a man, and a very strong, healthy, agile man, very hefty, very strong, but who is actually not working. He's lazy, he's redundant, he's idle, he does not work. But yet he lives a very luxurious lifestyle. And so to sustain that lifestyle, he has to do either or all of the following. He has to extort, through bullying of people. He has to steal. He has to do all sorts. He has to do all sorts of undesirable things just to sustain that living, because he has no verifiable source of income. You see, because Nigeria as a country, a giant, an all-powerful entity with instruments of coercion and enforcement of law and order through legitimacy of force, police, army, and others. This man does not do anything for a living. Nigerian government does not have any business it is running that brings it revenue. So it has to rely on taxation. Taxation that is almost extortionary in nature. So what we call taxation is actually extortion. So you have removed subsidy on petrol. You brought a bill that appears to want to now bring everybody into your so-called tax net, and you're now imposing 5% tax on petroleum consumption. That is, you have moved from remove subsidy from us. We are paying the full market rate for petrol. You now want to add extra charges for God. Government want to not take from us. As you are paying AA Rano or Shafa for petrol, you're also paying government for petrol for providing you absolutely nothing. Nothing can be more irresponsible than this. And I keep telling this government, stop provoking the people. Stop it. We need to change direction in this country. We need to move from a neoliberal concept of government having no business in business to one that puts government on the driver's seat of doing business. I say this because the only business of government is doing business. And any government that cannot do business has no business being in government. Do you know why in Saudi Arabia, the government is able to pay subsidy on all fossil fuel derivative products, including petrol, diesel, kerosene, oil, and still not take personal income tax from the citizens, and still not take company income tax from the citizens? The only tax Saudi people pay is VAT. Only what you consume, you pay for it. Healthcare subsidized. Education is subsidized. It is because state-owned enterprises that brings it the revenue it needs to run its government without resorting to taxing the people. Saudi Aramco is number one of such enterprises. Saudi Aramco is a multi-trillion dollar entity. On the average, in the last 3 years, Saudi Aramco nets about $400 billion in operating revenues. By 2018, Saudi Aramco, owned by the Saudi state, was the world's most valuable company. The world's most valuable company. The world's most valuable company. And so the revenue that they derive from just this just one enterprise enables them to pay 4,000 riyals as minimum wage for the private sector worker and 3,000 riyals for the public sector workers. I'm talking about over $1 million naira, about almost $2 million naira per month as minimum wage. Yet, this person will not pay income tax. This person will not pay any form of taxation except VAT. That is, when you buy Coca-Cola, you pay VAT on it. This person will be entitled to subsidize petrol, entitled to subsidize healthcare and housing and all. Because the government is working. We must resuscitate state-owned enterprises across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT and the federal government to become export competitive enough to earn revenues. I call it externally generated revenue. No country survives on internally generated revenue. It's a fallacy. What government must do in Nigeria today is to now aim towards externally generated revenue through overseas investment, through export competitive economic productivity.
Dr. Majeed, we have to go. We must go.
You
are in your element, I know, but we must go. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you again on Friday. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Lagos, this is how we wrap it up for today. Thank you for being a part of it. Let's take a break, bring you the news, and then we move on to our next conversation.
Nigeria's station for pork.
NUPENG, they accuse the management of Dangote Refinery of
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates